Hello everybody, and I'm back in Edain. Thank God. I did try and venture out a little bit into some other games, and you guys really enjoyed it, Kappa. But nevertheless, moving swiftly on, we're back in Edain, and what I've got for you today is a 1v1 where I play Rohan against the dwarf player who's picked Iron Hills, and that is Deathless. Now, Rohan is another one of those interesting factions where a lot of people say that they're underpowered. However, there's also a lot of people that say that they're overpowered. So, what do I think about Rohan, and how do I play Rohan, particularly in 1v1s? Well, this is almost exclusively my strategy, and that is to go for a very early flour mill, and to get some farmhands. Here you see I actually misclicked, derp, and got some peasants. Quickly rectified it and got some farmhands. Now, that could be more significant than it turned out to be in this game, because really timing is so important. Nevertheless, in the meantime, I've gone with Merry. I've used his speed boost, plus 20% faster, to grab these outside farms. Now, grabbing outside farms with your scout hero can be very dangerous if you're playing against an Angmar. However, I knew I was playing against Deathless, and I knew that he was dwarves, because he always goes dwarves. So I knew that I was completely at no risk of losing Merry in that situation. So that's just something you have to think about when you're playing against Angmar. Anyway, back to this game. As you see, I'm not splitting my units to creep here, and the reason I'm doing that is because I know that Rohan peasants are quite weak, and especially weak when they're not in large numbers. So if I was to split my battalions to creep both wildmen at the same time, I'd likely lose both of the battalions unless my macro was perfectly on point. So it's always a lot easier and a lot less risky to not split when creeping with Rohan in the early game. Now, I've got my farmhands out, and I've got Merry back over, and really this speed boost is very good in the early game to quickly grab those farms and also quickly come over to harass this troll. So here you see I'm using some rock throw to kill the troll, and I will be bringing my pike over to finish off the troll, and I'm also going to bring my swordsman back. Now, this is different to how I play a lot of other factions. With a lot of other factions, I would have got this pike and moved it over here and started to creep those wargs. But with Rohan, I play it differently, and the reason I play it differently is because of this, which I'm hovering over now. The exile camp. The exile camp is so important with Rohan, particularly in the early game. If you can get up an extremely quick exile camp, and let's have a look at my resources. I'm on 883. How much does it cost? 800. So I could actually go for it now. And in fact I do. And so that is something really that is one of the biggest things about Rohan. You can get cavalry out so quickly thanks to this exile camp. Now you can also get cavalry through going through the stables and getting some normal Rohirrim out by that. But the exile camp has some additional benefits in that it gives a buff to your infantry as well, a speed boost and damage boost when you're around it, and it can also be upgraded, and it's got more benefits than just producing cavalry alone. Now let's have a look here. I'm splitting. So I'm splitting my swordsman to come over and creep over here, these wildmen, and I'm splitting my pikes to go and creep these wargs. And the reason I'm sending two over is because, once again, the peasants aren't very good. So if I give one battalion of pikes to these wargs, they may very well eat them, so I need two there just to ensure that they both survive. In the meantime, I've got some cavalry out, and let's have a look at how effective cavalry is. Now here you see Deathless has clumped, and he's got some pikes there, but I just simply avoid them, and I also pick up all of these reinforcements that are coming, and he's gone for very early archers, which just get decimated by the cavalry. So there you see that if your opponent isn't ready for cavalry, and he hasn't got pikes, or even if he does get pikes, and he doesn't put the pikes directly on top of everything else, really cavalry can be so effective. And really cavalry has a lot of micro potential, where that if you micro them well, as I did there, you can really start to destroy units even if pikes are there to protect them. So that's what I call good micro potential. And really, a lot of the time with very fast units, there's a lot of micro potential. So as you see, I'm creeping these wildmen. I've also got out another battalion of cavalry, and what I'm going to do with this cavalry is kill these wargs. Now I know that these swordsmen can't kill wargs by themselves, even though I've got the scout hero Merry there with them, so I'm really going to have to kill them with the wargs. Now let's have a look at how powerful wargs are in Edain. Look at this, one-shotting my units, and really that is quite incredible that creeps can do that much damage. However, because Merry is here now, he can finish them off, and then I'll use my peasants to destroy this war pit to get more economy for me. And I'm also splitting over here using these pikes. Now these swords should be over here helping them out, but a bit of a mismicromanagement there from me. So here we go creeping, and It's Theoden, and Theoden is such an excellent hero, and you can get him so early on because he's so cheap. And one of the reasons he's so excellent is that he has this boost to your economy. Now you see here that I've gone for double production, and if you didn't know, that reduces the production time of your peasants, so you can get them out a lot quicker. And by going double production and then giving this boost, which is 100%, you really get a lot of money from one of your farms. Now let's have a look. It may take a little while for the number to come up here, but if we can just see it, and 96. Wow, that is even more than I expected it. I haven't actually looked at that before to see how much it is. 96, that is huge. Now, the counterbalance to that is it loses 30% of its armor when this is activated. However, that can be nullified by the fact of either hiding your farm so your opponent doesn't know where it is, or just being generally aggressive like I am here, not giving him the opportunity to come and harass your farms. Now, let's have a look at this. Here, he has 1 battalion of pikes. I have 3 battalions. If it was a 1v1, his would win. The pikes of Iron Hills are very good. But the problem is, if they're outnumbered, they're too slow, so they can't run away. Now, let's go over to the other side, where another battle is happening, where actually I'm outnumbered now. There's 3 battalions against my 2. But here, once again, is another reason why Theoden is so excellent, and that is the Traitors of Rohan. And here you see it activated. Now, what does it do? Well, it converts your peasants into these Traitors of Rohan. And these units are possibly the best early game units in the entire game. And the only caveat to that is that here I steal some of all of his money there that he got for himself. The only caveat to that is that they're on a timer, and when that timer runs out, they actually die. So really, you have to decide whether you can afford getting rid of some of your battalions of peasants in favour of this short-term impact of having some more extremely good troops. And there you see they just completely destroyed the pikes, and now the cavalry just finishes the rest. And once again, that's a problem with with Iron Hills, is that they can't run away because they're so slow. Now in the meantime, as you may have heard, AIM errors come out, and I've still got no inside farms. And really this is an example of where not going for inside farms, as I often do, can be so effective, and that is with Rohan. Now here you see a very good example of using mines very effectively from Deathless, as he brings out some pikes that kill my cavalry. Now all 3 battalions are alive, but some of them are heavily damaged. But here you see really how effective these traitors can be and how much damage they do. And in the meantime, I've got more peasants. The peasant spam is so good as well, and you can get so many out so quickly, and they can just harass while you're doing damage elsewhere. And really, you can do a lot of damage with these traitors without worrying too much about losing them, because they're going to die after the timer runs out anyway, so they're so effective. And you see that AMAs come in, and really what can Deathless do in this situation? Because I've got all of the map, I've also upgraded this, and I'm getting out some Royal Vanguard, which are exiles that cost no command points. So really they are excellent, and Deathless just has none of the map anymore, thanks to my simultaneous harassing all over here. All over the map, I should say. And really, I've just killed a lot of units, and I've started to get heroes out. And another thing that Theoden can do is banish heroes, plus 50% damage, and minus 30% on their recharge of their abilities. That is huge if you can keep them alive. If they die, you can't recruit them until you've cured Theoden. So here you see, I've got 6 battalions of cavalry, I've got heroes, I'm getting money to get Gamling out, and I've got a lot of peasants, and I've got the whole map. So really now, what can Deathless do? And there's Gamling as well, if you can see him through the trees. And really, there was nothing he could do. If we had continued to play, I would have simply cemented my position. Well, I would have either cemented my position and gone for a big attack on the base, or I would have started to really harass his base very early on, which is also a very good idea for Rohan, because their advantages really are quite heavily shifted towards the early game. So there you go. That was just a little primer, a very short game, and Deathless himself admitted that he could have played a lot better in that game. But it is so difficult to play against Rohan, especially when you use multiple different strategies like I did there. And the multiple different strategies that I used were peasant spam, cavalry, and heroes. So really it's difficult to counter that, especially when your units are so slow. Now, about my previous video, yes, it wasn't Edain, it was Company of Heroes, and it got quite a lot of dislikes. So, I had a think about it, and I would actually like to make some more videos that aren't Edain. Now, I don't know why it got a negative reception. I think possibly part of the reason was that it was almost a bit of a clickbait title, saying Edain 1v ... Wait, Company of Heroes, what the hell? And maybe for some people, particularly people who watch my videos where English isn't the first language, and actually I've been talking to Isilendil, who says that a lot of Russian players like my videos, but they don't understand English very well, and actually I'd like to provide some Russian subtitles for them so that they can, help to understand the videos a lot more. Now, obviously, loads of Russian people do understand English perfectly well. However, some people might have thought that they were going to be watching an Edain video, and when they clicked on it, they found that it was a different game entirely, and therefore they disliked it. Now, another reason why it could have got so many dislikes, I think, is because maybe people just want to see me playing Edain, because that is the game that I'm best at, and that is the game that I can provide people with the most coherent commentary and the most tips for their own play. However, I like playing other games as well, and as long as you guys enjoy watching them, I will continue to produce them. So I'll give it another little go, a different game, in the future. But I do want to make clear that the focus of this channel, at least for now, is on Edain, and Edain alone. So although I may every so often be putting out a few different videos, the Edain content isn't going to stop. And another thing is that by producing videos of other games that people may enjoy those games, I may attract other people to the game that we all love so much, which is Edain. So someone who likes Company of Heroes may find my Company of Heroes videos, start watching them, and then discover Edain through that. So that's another reason why I like to put out different videos. Anyway, enough about Company of Heroes. I'm sure you're fed up of it already after that one video. I will be looking at some StarCraft potentially, and maybe even some other fun games that are strategy. But once again, Edain is my focus. So thank you for watching, and this was just a little primer on a bit of a new series that I'm going to be looking at, which focuses mainly on Rohan. And of course, I'll be producing other videos of different factions in the future. So talking way too much, yet again, Noobfella, you noob, goodbye.